The massive alien ship hung in space like a dark cloud. It was 5 times bigger than the largest human battleship. Admiral Taijo Kim stood on the bridge of the EDS Defender, his hands clasped behind his back. His face showed no fear, but his knuckles were white. "They're hailing us again, sir," said Lieutenant Mina Ryu. Taijo took a deep breath. "Put them through." The main screen flickered to life. The alien that appeared had green, scaly skin and yellow eyes with narrow black slits. It wore ornate armor covered in symbols of past victories. "Human Admiral," the alien said in a voice that sounded like rocks grinding together. "I am Grand Marshal Vrex of the Galactic Hegemony. Your delay in responding is unwise." "We were discussing your terms," Taijo said calmly. 17 star systems have fallen to you in the past year. We needed time to consider our options. Vrex made a sound that might have been laughter. "Options, you have none. Your technology is primitive. Your fleet is small. Your defenses are weak. Surrender now, and your people will be treated fairly under hegemony rule." Taijo's face remained blank. "And if we refuse? Then we will crush your military forces and take your planet anyway." Vrex leaned closer to the screen. "But there is another way. A tradition of the hegemony when we encounter a species worthy of respect." "I'm listening," Taijo said. "Combat by champions," Vrex explained. "One battle to decide the fate of your world. If your champion wins, the hegemony will recognize Earth's independence and leave your system in peace. If our champions win, Earth surrenders without further bloodshed." Taijo raised an eyebrow. "Champions? You said more than one." "The hegemony will send 12 champions, the finest warriors from across our empire. Each represents a different conquered world and fighting style. Your world may send one champion to face them. 12 against 1? Taijo couldn't hide his surprise. "That hardly seems fair." Vrex's mouth stretched into what might have been a smile, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Your species is untested in galactic combat. We offer you mercy by allowing you to surrender now." "I must consult with my government," Taijo said. "We will need time." "You have 12 Earth hours," Vrex said. "Then we expect your answer." The screen went dark. 3 hours later, Taijo stood before the United Earth Defense Council in their underground chamber beneath New Geneva. The 20 council members sat in a half-circle, their faces grim. Behind them, large screens showed military leaders from around the world joining remotely. "They've given us an impossible choice," said Councillor Jiwoo Park, an older woman with steel-gray hair. "Surrender without a fight, or send someone to certain death against 12 alien warriors. What do we know about these ritual combats?" asked Councillor Minho Baek. Intelligence Director Hyun Choi stood up. She was small and looked young for her position, but her eyes were sharp and missed nothing. "We've analyzed all transmissions from the hegemony ship," she said. "They've included records of previous ritual combats from other worlds. The practice appears legitimate. In 17 conquests, they've honored the results each time. And how many worlds have won their freedom this way?" Jiwoo asked. 3, Hyon replied, though in those cases the challenged worlds were allowed to send multiple champions. The room filled with angry voices. "It's a trap. They're mocking us. We should strike now while they're not expecting it." General Junho Yoon, the head of Earth's combined military forces, shook his head. "A first strike would be suicide. Their shields are beyond our ability to penetrate, and their weapons could glass our major cities in hours." "Then what choice do we have?" Councillor Beck asked. "Send one person to die fighting 12 alien super warriors or surrender our planet?" A quiet voice spoke from the back of the room. "We send one." Everyone turned. Captain Do-hyun Lee stood there, his uniform crisp and neat. He was the head of special operations, rarely seen at council meetings. "Captain Lee," Admiral Kim acknowledged. "You have something to add?" Do-hyun stepped forward. "The hegemony expects us to surrender. They've set impossible terms because they don't respect us. But they've also given us an opportunity." "To watch one of our best soldiers die?" Jiwoo asked bitterly. "To show them why humans are dangerous," Do-hyun replied. "The hegemony has conquered many worlds, but they've never faced humans before. What are you suggesting? Admiral Kim asked. Do-hyun's face remained serious. Let me choose our champion, someone specific. Who? Several voices asked at once. Sergeant Subin Kang. The room fell silent, then erupted again. A sergeant? Not even an officer? Who is this person? We need our best. Admiral Kim raised his hand for quiet. I know of Sergeant Kang. Captain Lee, explain your reasoning. Do-hyun nodded. The hegemony champions will be stronger, faster, and equipped with technology we can only dream of. They may have psychic abilities or biological advantages. We can't match that. But Sergeant Kang has something they won't expect. Which is? Counselor Baek asked. He's human, Do-hyun said simply. More importantly, he's the right kind of human for this fight. Director Hyun's eyes widened slightly. The farm boy from New Busan? The one who… Yes, Do-hyun nodded. That's him. Admiral Kim studied Captain Lee's face. You're certain? I am, Do-hyun said. I've sent soldiers into impossible situations before. If anyone has a chance, it's him. The Admiral turned to the Council. We need to vote. Do we accept the hegemony's challenge and send a champion, or do we surrender Earth? One by one, the Council members voted. The result was 18-2 in favor of fighting. And do we trust Captain Lee to select our champion? Admiral Kim asked. This vote was closer, but in the end, they agreed. Earth would fight. The hegemony had demanded an answer, but they had not demanded to know who Earth's champion would be. Admiral Kim stood before the communication screen, his uniform perfect, his face calm. Grand Marshal Vrex, he said, Earth has considered your challenge. The alien's face appeared on screen. And your answer, human? We accept, Taejo said firmly. One champion from Earth will face your 12 warriors. Vrex's yellow eyes widened slightly, then narrowed. Unexpected. Your species has more pride than wisdom, it seems. Perhaps, Taejo said. Or perhaps we know something you don't. Vrex made that grinding laugh again. Brave words. The combat will take place on your moon's smaller satellite, what you call Phobos. It orbits Mars and belongs to neither of us. Our engineers will prepare an arena with Earth-normal conditions. Acceptable, Taejo said. When? 3 Earth days from now, Vrex replied. Enough time for you to select your champion and make peace with your defeat. After the communication ended, Admiral Kim turned to Captain Lee. Get Sergeant Kang. Tell him what's happening. He's already on his way, Do-hyun said. I sent for him as soon as I heard about the challenge. You were that sure the Council would agree? Do-hyun's face remained serious. I was sure we had no better option. For the sake of humanity, I hope you're right about him, Admiral Kim said. Captain Lee looked toward the ceiling, as if he could see through it to the stars beyond. The hegemony thinks they're being clever, offering us an impossible challenge. They think they know what makes a great warrior. A small smile appeared on his face. They have no idea what they're about to face. Outside the council chamber, Earth continued to turn. Billions of people went about their lives, unaware that their fate now rested on the shoulders of one sergeant from New Busan. The military transport flew through the night sky over what was once South Korea. Below, the lights of New Busan glowed against the darkness. Inside the transport, Captain Do-hyun Lee checked his tablet one more time. They were on schedule. 5 minutes to landing, sir, the pilot called. Do-hyun nodded. He had not slept since the council meeting. There was too much to prepare, too much at stake. Earth had 3 days to ready its champion. It wasn't enough time, but it was all they had. The transport touched down on a small landing pad next to a group of farm buildings. A few lights were on despite the late hour. Someone was waiting. Do-hyun stepped out into the cool night air. A man stood near the edge of the landing pad. He wore simple work clothes and boots still muddy from the fields. He was not tall or particularly muscular. Nothing about him looked special. Sergeant Kang, Do-hyun said, approaching with his hand extended. Captain Lee. Subin Kang shook his hand. His grip was firm but not showy. Your message said it was urgent. It is. Can we talk inside? Subin led the way to a small house surrounded by vegetable fields. Inside, the home was clean and simple. A few family pictures hung on the walls. The kitchen table was solid wood, handmade. My parents are asleep, Subin said quietly. We can talk here. They sat at the kitchen table. Do-Yun placed his tablet down but didn't activate it. You've heard about the alien ship? He asked. Subin nodded. Everyone has. The news says they want Earth to surrender. They've offered an alternative. A challenge. One Earth champion against 12 of their best warriors. Do-Yun watched Subin's face carefully. I've recommended you as our champion. Subin didn't look surprised, he didn't look afraid, he simply asked, why me? 3 years ago, your unit was ambushed during the Southeast Asian conflict. 16 soldiers, surrounded by over 100. Enemy fighters with superior weapons in position, do you remember? Yes. You were the only survivor. Not only that, you completed the mission. Alone. The reports say you adapted to the situation, used the environment, learned from each encounter. Do-Hyun leaned forward. The military investigated you after that. They thought you might have special abilities or enhancements. Subin's face remained calm. And? Nothing. You're completely normal. Physically, at least. Do-Hyun tapped his tablet. Yet you did something extraordinary. The psychologist had theories. I remember the interviews, Subin said. They asked a lot of questions about how I think. Do-Hyun nodded. Your brain processes combat information differently. You see patterns, adapt faster than anyone we've tested, and most importantly, you stay calm. I'm a farmer, Captain. I returned to civilian life 2 years ago. I know, but Earth needs you again. Do-Hyun finally activated his tablet and turned it so Subin could see. These are the hegemony champions. The screen showed alien beings of various shapes and sizes. Some looked almost human. Others were completely foreign, multiple limbs, exoskeletons, strange proportions. All were clearly dangerous. They come from different conquered worlds, Do-Hyun explained. Each has unique abilities, enhanced strength, speed. Some even have psychic powers. Subin studied the images. When is the fight? 3 days from now. On Phobos. Mars's moon? Yes. Neutral ground. Do-Hyun watched him carefully. It's an impossible task, Subin. No one would blame you for refusing. Subin continued looking at the aliens. If I say no, what happens? We find someone else. But I don't think they'll win. Do-Hyun's voice was quiet. And Earth becomes part of the hegemony. Subin was silent for a long moment. Then he looked up at Do-Hyun. My parents, my sister and her family, will they be safe if I do this? We'll protect them whatever happens. Subin nodded once. Then I'll do it. The next morning, Subin stood in a large training room at Earth Defense Headquarters. The walls were white, the floor padded. Around him, experts of various kinds waited. Nervously, Admiral Taejo Kim entered, followed by Intelligence Director Hyun Choi. They both looked tired. Sergeant Kang, Admiral Kim said, shaking Subin's hand. Thank you for accepting this mission. Subin gave a small nod. I'm ready to begin training. Director Hyun stepped forward. We've prepared everything we know about the hegemony champions. Their species, fighting styles, strengths, weaknesses. You have less than 3 days to learn it all. I understand. Admiral Kim studied him. May I ask a personal question, Sergeant? Yes, sir. You don't seem afraid. 12 alien warriors, each with abilities beyond normal humans. Why aren't you afraid? Subin thought for a moment. Fear doesn't help, sir. It just clouds thinking. The Admiral nodded slowly. We've gathered the best trainers on Earth, combat experts, xenobiologists, weapons specialists. They're all here to help you prepare. Thank you, sir. But I have a request. Anything. I need to see everything you have on the aliens' previous fights. Every recording, every report, and I need quiet time to study them. Director Hyun looked surprised. We planned for physical training first. The mind comes before the body, Subin said simply. I need to understand them before I can fight them. Admiral Kim and Director Hyan exchanged glances. Then the Admiral nodded. Give him whatever he needs. For the next 2 days, Subin barely slept. He watched recordings of previous ritual combats over and over. He studied alien biology reports. He listened to experts explain different fighting styles. Then he trained his body, working with martial arts masters, weapons experts, and military trainers. On the night before the departure to Phobos, Captain Do-Hyun found him alone in the training room. Subin was sitting cross-legged on the floor, eyes closed. You should rest, Do-Hyun said. Subin opened his eyes. I was resting, in my own way. Are you ready? As ready as I can be. Subin stood up. I've studied them all, their patterns, their weaknesses, and they're powerful, but predictable. Subin walked to a table where various weapons were laid out. He picked up none of them. Each champion fights the same way every time. They don't adapt. And that's their weakness, Do-Hyun said, understanding in his eyes. Subin nodded. Humans are different. We change. We learn. We find new ways. The shuttle leaves at 600. You should get some sleep. One more thing, Captain. Subin turned to him. The footage of the previous combats. 3 worlds won their freedom, but many lost. What was different about the winners? Do-Hyun smiled slightly. I wondered if you'd noticed that. The winners didn't try to match the hegemony champion's strength or speed. They outsmarted them. That's what I thought. Subin looked at his hands. They were calloused from farm work and training. Tomorrow I fight for Earth, but I won't fight like they expect. How will you fight? Like a human. Subin's face was calm, but his eyes showed determination. They think one human against 12 aliens is unfair. They're right. A small smile appeared on his face. It's unfair to them. In his quarters that night, Subin wrote letters to his family, just in case. Then he checked his simple equipment one last time. No fancy weapons, no power armor, just practical gear that he knew how to use. As he lay down to sleep, his mind was clear. He thought of his family's farm, the fields he had plowed and planted, the simple life he had returned to after the war. I'm just a farmer, he whispered to himself. But tomorrow I farm a different field. Then Sergeant Subin Kang, Earth's only hope, closed his eyes and slept like a man at peace. The Earth shuttle broke away from the red planet's gravity. Through the viewport, Mars looked like a giant rust-colored ball. Ahead, Phobos waited, a small, potato-shaped moon that would soon host the most important battle in human history. Subin, Kang sat quietly, strapped into his seat. Across from him, Admiral Kim and Captain Lee studied their tablets, occasionally exchanging quiet words. No one had spoken much during the journey. We're approaching the landing zone, the pilot announced. Hegemony ships are already there. Subin looked out the viewport. Phobos had always been a barren rock. Now in one small area, an alien structure gleamed under the distant sun. It was circular, like an ancient Roman Colosseum, but made of materials that seemed to shift and flow, like liquid metal. They built that in one day? Admiral Kim asked, looking up from his tablet. Hegemony engineering is advanced, Captain Lee replied. They can reshape matter at the molecular level. The shuttle descended toward a small landing pad near the arena. 2 other ships were already there. One massive hegemony vessel and a smaller craft bearing the symbols of galactic observers. Remember, Captain Lee said to Subin, once the combat begins, we can't help you. The rules forbid outside interference. Subin nodded. I understand. The arena will have Earth-normal gravity and atmosphere, Admiral Kim added. At least they're fair about the conditions. The shuttle landed with a gentle bump. Subin unbuckled his harness and stood. He wore simple combat fatigues with minimal armor, just enough to protect vital areas without restricting movement. At his waist hung a standard-issue combat knife and a few small tools. Nothing more. Captain Lee frowned. Are you sure you don't want better weapons? We brought options. This is enough, Subin said. He had spent hours considering his equipment. Anything too complex could fail. Anything too heavy would slow him down. Simplicity was key. It's time, Admiral Kim said, checking his watch. The Yao. 3 men moved to the shuttle's airlock. When the door opened, they stepped out onto Phobos. Though the landing area had been given artificial gravity and atmosphere, Subin was aware that just beyond the invisible barrier was the vacuum of space. A small delegation approached from the hegemony ship. In the lead walked the tallest alien Subin had ever seen. It stood over 8 feet tall with green scaly skin and yellow eyes. Its armor gleamed with symbols of past victories. That's Grand Marshal Vrex, Captain Lee whispered. The hegemony's military commander. Behind Vrex came a procession of aliens of various shapes and sizes. Some looked almost human, with 2 arms and legs. Others had multiple limbs, tentacles or strange body structures Subin had never seen before. All wore distinctive armor and carried weapons unique to their species. The 12 champions, Admiral Kim murmured, each from a different conquered world. Grand Marshal Vrex stopped a few paces away. Admiral Kim, he said, his voice translated through a small device at his throat. Captain Lee. His yellow eyes fixed on Subin. And this must be Earth's champion. The way he said the word champion made it sound like an insult. Behind him, several of the alien warriors made sounds that might have been laughter. Admiral, Kim stepped forward. This is Sergeant Subin Kang of the United Earth Defense Force. Vrex studied Subin for a long moment. He is smaller than expected. Size isn't everything, Admiral Kim replied calmly. Indeed. Vrex gestured to his champions. These 12 warriors represent the finest combat specialists in the hegemony. Each has won hundreds of battles. Each possesses skills and abilities beyond normal limitations. Subin said nothing. He was busy studying each champion, matching them to the records he had memorized. The terms of combat are simple, Vrex continued. The battle continues until surrender or death. Your champion faces all 12 of ours one after another or together. Their choice. If your champion defeats all 12, Earth remains free. If he falls, Earth joins the hegemony. We understand the terms, Admiral Kim said. A new group approached. 3 tall, thin aliens with pale blue skin and large eyes. They wore formal robes with no military insignia. The Galactic Observers, Captain Lee explained quietly to Subin. They ensure the rules are followed. One of the observers stepped forward. I am High Adjudicator Zol. We will monitor the combat to ensure compliance with ancient ritual combat law. Both parties have agreed to abide by the outcome. Admiral Kim and Grand Marshal Vrex both nodded. The combat will begin in 1 Earth hour, Zol announced. Champions may prepare in the designated areas. As the group separated, Captain Lee put his hand on Subin's shoulder. You've studied them. Any last thoughts? Subin nodded slightly. The 3 on the left, the ones with red armor. They work as a team. They'll attack first together. Admiral Kim looked surprised. How can you know that? Their body language, the way they keep glancing at each other. And in previous combats, they always struck first. Subin's voice was calm, matter-of-fact. They'll think 3 against 1 is an easy victory. Captain Lee squeezed Subin's shoulder. Remember your training. Remember why you're fighting. I remember, Subin said. It's not just for Earth. It's for every world they've conquered, every world they plan to conquer. Admiral Kim studied Subin's face. When this is over, when you've won, what do you want? Anything you ask for will be yours. Subin's answer was simple. I want to go back to my farm. The arena on Phobos was larger than it had appeared from above. The fighting area was a circular pit nearly half a kilometer across with various terrain features, rocks, small hills, even a few structures that might provide cover. Around the edges rose observation platforms where the officials and observers would watch. Subin stood in a small preparation chamber beneath one of the platforms. Through a viewport, he could see the 12 hegemony champions entering the arena from the opposite side. They paraded before the observers, their weapons and armor gleaming under the artificial lights. The crowd of alien dignitaries made sounds of appreciation. Representatives from many worlds had come to witness this combat. Some probably hoped to see the hegemony defeated. Others simply enjoyed the spectacle. A holographic image appeared before Subin, Admiral Kim and Captain Lee from their observation platform. "It's time," Admiral Kim said. "Earth is watching, Sergeant. Not through broadcasts. Those are being blocked by the hegemony. But in their hearts, everyone on our planet is with you." Subin nodded. "I won't let them down. Remember," Captain Lee added, "these champions are used to fighting other enhanced beings. They've never faced a human before. Use that." "I will." Subin took a deep breath, then asked, "Sir, if I don't return, your family will be cared for," Admiral Kim promised. "But that won't be necessary. You're coming home, Sergeant." The door to the arena slid open. Subin stepped out into the bright lights. The contrast between his simple appearance and the ornate hegemony champions could not have been greater. A murmur ran through the watching crowd. Grand Marshal Vrex's voice boomed across the arena. "This is your champion?" he asked, voice filled with disbelief. "One unaugmented human against the might of the hegemony's finest warriors?" Admiral Kim's voice was calm but carried clearly. "Sergeant Subin Kang of Earth, that's all we need." High Adjudicator Zol raised his long, thin arms. "Champions, take your positions." Subin walked to the center of the arena. Across from him, the 12 hegemony champions spread out in a wide semicircle. Just as he had predicted, the 3 in red armor moved to the front, exchanging glances. "The terms are agreed," Zol announced. "Combat continues until surrender or death. No outside interference once it begins." He looked at Subin. "Champion of Earth, are you ready?" Subin nodded once. "I am ready." "Champions of the hegemony, are you ready?" The 12 warriors made various gestures or sounds of agreement. Zol raised his arms again. Then, by the ancient laws of ritual combat, "Let the battle for Earth begin!" A signal sounded, echoing across the arena. Just as Subin had predicted, the 3 red-armored warriors charged forward together. Their confidence was clear. 3 against 1 seemed like an easy first victory. But Subin was already moving, his mind calm, his body ready. All his training, all his study, all his unique human ability to adapt and learn, everything had prepared him for this moment. The fate of Earth rested on his shoulders, and Sergeant Subin Kang was ready. The 3 new champions spread out around Subin. The chameleon disappeared from sight, its body blending perfectly with the arena background. The speedster became a blur, circling Subin so fast it was hard to track. The living weapon transformed, its arms into long, curved blades. In the observation platform, Admiral Kim's face was grim. 3 at once, and these are among their most dangerous. Captain Lee nodded. Subin is tired now. He's been fighting for almost 2 hours. Down in the arena, Subin knew he couldn't fight these 3 the same way he had fought the others. They were too dangerous together. He needed a new approach. He moved to a section of the arena with loose rocks and uneven ground. The speedster would have trouble maintaining top speed there. Then he picked up a handful of the arena's dust and threw it in a wide arc around himself. "What is he doing?" Admiral Kim asked. "The chameleon," Captain Lee realized. "Dust will stick to it, even when invisible." Sure enough, some of the dust hung in the air, outlining a vague shape. The chameleon was trying to sneak up on Subin from behind. The living weapon attacked first, its blade arms slashing at Subin from the front. Subin dodged, but not completely. One blade cut across his shoulder, drawing blood. At the same moment, the speedster charged. It was a perfect coordinated attack. While Subin dodged the blades, the speedster would hit him from the side. But Subin had anticipated this. He dropped flat to the ground at the last second. The speedster, unable to stop in time, crashed into the living weapon. Both went down in a tangle of limbs and blades. Before they could recover, Subin rolled toward the dust cloud that revealed the chameleon. He had kept the energy blade he took from the first champion. Now he used it to strike not at the chameleon itself, but at the ground beneath it. The energy blade cut into the arena floor. A power conduit beneath the surface exploded, sending electricity arcing upward. The chameleon screamed as the charge disrupted its camouflage ability. Its body flickered back into visibility, the skin changing colors rapidly. Subin gave it no time to recover. He struck precisely at the cluster of nerves at the base of the chameleon's neck, a weakness he had memorized from the xenobiology reports. The creature collapsed unconscious. "6 down," someone shouted from the observation platforms. The speedster and the living weapon were up again, more cautious now. They circled Subin, looking for an opening. Subin was breathing hard. The cut on his shoulder burned. He needed to end this quickly. The living weapon attacked again, one arm now a spear, the other a spiked mace. Subin dodged the spear and caught the mace arm, using the creature's momentum to pull it off balance. As it stumbled forward, Subin struck at the central nerve cluster that controlled its transformations. The living weapon's arms reverted to their normal form. Before it could transform them again, Subin had knocked it unconscious with a precise strike to the head. 7, the crowd counted. Now only the speedster remained of this group. It darted in and out, too fast to track, landing quick blows that individually caused little damage but together were wearing Subin down. Subin closed his eyes. He didn't try to follow the speedster's movements with his eyes. Instead, he listened, for the pattern in the footsteps felt the slight changes in air pressure as the creature passed. When the speedster attacked again, Subin's hand shot out at exactly the right moment. He caught the creature's arm, using its own speed and momentum to flip it hard onto the ground. Before it could recover, Subin had pinned it and struck the pressure point that temporarily paralyzed its legs. 8 champions defeated, Zol announced, his voice no longer neutral but filled with amazement. Grand Marshal Vrex was furious. "Send them all," he ordered. "The final 4, send them now." The remaining 4 champions entered the arena together. Each was more dangerous than the last, a gravity manipulator that could increase or decrease the weight of anything it touched, a sonic weapon capable of shattering bones with a scream, a hive mind creature composed of thousands of tiny insects working as one, and finally, the pride of the hegemony, Executor Tals. Tals stood nearly 3 meters tall, his body a combination of living metal and neural enhancements. He had never been defeated in combat. His silver skin gleamed under the arena lights as he stepped forward, his footsteps shaking the ground. "This ends now, human." Tals's voice boomed across the arena. Subin stood his ground, though he was clearly exhausted. Blood stained his uniform from various cuts. His left arm hung slightly lower than his right, a sign of muscle damage or extreme fatigue. In the observation platform, Admiral Kim gripped the railing tightly. 4 at once, and their best for last. This isn't fair. It was never meant to be fair, Captain Lee said quietly. But if anyone can do this, it's him. The final battle began with a deafening shriek from the sonic weapon. Subin dropped to one knee, hands over his ears. The gravity manipulator used that moment to increase Subin's weight 10-fold. He collapsed to the ground, unable to move under the crushing pressure. The hive mind swarmed toward him, thousands of tiny insects ready to strip flesh from bone. "It's over," Grand Marshal Vrex said with satisfaction. But Subin wasn't finished. With tremendous effort, he reached into a pocket and pulled out his last prepared tool, a small electromagnetic pulse device. He activated it and threw it toward the gravity manipulator. The pulse disrupted the alien's abilities for just a few seconds, but that was enough. Freed from the crushing weight, Subin rolled away from the approaching swarm and threw a handful of the arena dust into the air near the sonic weapon. The dust particles vibrated in the sonic waves, showing their pattern. Subin moved to the exact spot where the waves canceled each other out, the one place in the arena where the sonic attack had no effect. From there, he threw his combat knife with perfect accuracy. It struck the sonic weapon's vocal apparatus, silencing its deadly shriek. 9. Admiral Kim counted, hope returning to his voice. The hive mind attacked again, surrounding Subin in a living cloud. He spun, using the energy blade to create a field around himself that the tiny creatures couldn't penetrate. When they clustered together to form a larger shape, he struck at the central node where the queen insect directed the others. The swarm fell into disarray, individual insects scattering without purpose. 10. The gravity manipulator had recovered and attacked again, alternating between increasing and decreasing Subin's weight, making him too heavy to move, then too light to stay grounded. But Subin had learned the pattern now. He timed his movements to each shift using the moments of lightness to propel himself forward, one precise strike to the manipulator's sensory organs, and it could no longer accurately control its abilities. It tried to increase Subin's weight but affected itself instead, collapsing under its own multiplied mass. 11 champions defeated, Zol announced, his voice filled with disbelief. Now only Executor Tals remained. The living metal warrior stood at the center of the arena, watching as Subin limped toward him. "Surrender, human," Tals's voice boomed. "You have fought with honor. There is no shame in yielding to me." Subin's response was barely audible. "We don't yield," Tals attacked with frightening speed for something so large. His metal fists could shatter stone, his reflexes faster than any organic being. Subin couldn't match him in strength or speed. No human could. But that had never been Subin's strategy. He didn't try to overpower Tals. Instead, he observed, adapted, learned with each exchange. Tals was powerful but predictable. His neural network followed set patterns, optimized but inflexible. After several minutes of combat, Subin began to exploit tiny flaws in Tals's programming. Microsecond delays between thought and action, slight overcompensations in certain movements. Subin didn't need to be stronger. He just needed to be smarter, more adaptable. As the battle continued, Subin maneuvered Tals toward a particular section of the arena, the same area where the power conduit had exploded earlier. Beneath the surface, more conduits ran in a grid pattern providing energy for the artificial atmosphere and gravity. With perfect timing, Subin struck the floor with the energy blade, cutting into a main power junction. Electricity surged upward, connecting with Tals's metal body. It wasn't enough to damage him seriously, but it created a momentary disruption in his neural pathways. In that fraction of a second, Subin struck at the one vulnerability in Tals's design, a small gap at the base of the skull where organic brain connected to metal body. Not a killing blow, but a precise strike that temporarily severed the connection between mind and form. Executor Tals, the undefeated champion of the hegemony, froze in place. His systems tried to reboot, to restore the connection. But before they could, he toppled like a great tree, crashing to the arena floor. Silence fell across Phobos. High Adjudicator Zol's voice, when it finally came, was filled with awe. All 12 champions are defeated. The Earth champion is victorious. In the observation platforms, no one spoke. No one moved. What they had just witnessed seemed impossible. Admiral Kim broke the silence first. "He did it," he whispered. "He actually did it." Captain Lee nodded, a small smile on his face. "I told you. That's why I chose him." Down in the arena, Subin stood over Tals's fallen form. He was swaying with exhaustion, his uniform torn and bloody, but he remained standing. Grand. Marshal Vrex descended slowly to the arena floor. He approached Subin, towering over the human. "Ow." Dr. June Kim looked through the window of the space station. His heart beat fast as he watched the strange ship. It had come without warning. The ship was smooth and shiny, unlike any human spacecraft. "It's really happening," he said quietly. "Next." To him, Sue Park nodded. Her eyes were wide with wonder. "After all these years of looking to the stars, they found us first." The alien ship had appeared 3 hours ago. It came to a stop near the International Space Station without making any noise or showing any engines. World leaders were in emergency meetings. News channels showed nothing else. And Dr. Kim, Korea's top scientist in space physics, had been rushed to the space station along with 5 other experts from around the world. "They're sending a smaller ship to dock with us," said Dae-Han, the youngest member of Kim's research team. He pointed to a part of the alien vessel that was opening up. A small shuttle left the main ship. It moved smoothly toward the space station's docking area. "Remember," said the American general who had been put in charge, "we represent all of Earth now. Be respectful but show no fear." Dr. Kim nodded, but his mind was racing with questions. How did they travel between stars? What kind of science made that possible? These were the things he had spent his life trying to figure out. The docking area doors opened. Everyone held their breath. The aliens walked in slowly. There were 4 of them. They stood upright on 2 legs like humans, but that was where the similarities ended. Their skin was pale blue and seemed to shimmer slightly. They had no hair, and their eyes were large and completely black. They wore simple white robes with strange symbols on them. One alien stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Talira of the Galactic Council," she said in perfect English. Her voice had an odd musical quality to it. "We come in peace to meet the newest potential members of our galactic community." The humans relaxed a little. The general stepped forward and welcomed them, explaining who each human was. When he introduced Dr. Kim, Talira's large eyes seemed to focus more intently. "A physics researcher? Excellent. We have much to discuss." After the formal greetings, they moved to the station's conference room. The aliens explained who they were, a species called the Nelvarans, and about the Galactic Council they represented. "The Council includes over 300 different intelligent species," Talira explained. "We have governed this galaxy for thousands of years. We maintain peace and help developing worlds like yours join the larger community. We detected your radio signals long ago," another alien added. "But we did not expect you to advance so quickly. Most species take much longer to reach your level of technology." Dr. Kim leaned forward. "How do you travel between star systems? The distances are too vast for conventional travel." Talira made a gesture that might have been a smile. "Faster than light travel is the key to joining the galactic community. Every council member must develop this ability on their own. It is our most important rule." She took out a small device and placed it on the table. It projected a 3D image of the galaxy. "We have been watching Earth for some time. Your species shows great promise, but also concerning tendencies. Your wars, your environmental damage, these things worry the Council. But," she continued, "we believe in giving all intelligent life a chance to join us. That is why we are here today." Talira looked at each human in turn. "The Council offers Earth this opportunity. You have 5 Earth years to develop faster than light travel on your own. If you succeed, you will be welcomed as full members of the Council, with all the benefits that brings, including protection, trade, and knowledge exchange." The room was silent for a moment. "And if we fail?" asked the general. "Then Earth will be placed under observation for another 100 years before being reconsidered." Dr. Kim frowned. 5 years is not much time to develop such advanced technology." "That is true," Talira said. "As a gesture of goodwill, we will share some basic theoretical principles." She handed Dr. Kim a small crystal. "This contains information that will point you in the right direction, but the actual development must be your own." After the meeting, the aliens returned to their ship. They promised to come back in exactly 5 years. Back on Earth, Dr. Kim and his team set up in their lab at the Korean Advanced Physics Institute. The world's governments had agreed to pool their resources. This project would get unlimited funding. Dr. Kim plugged the alien crystal into a special computer. Information filled the screens, complex equations and diagrams about space-time and wormhole creation. "This is amazing," Sue said, scanning through the data. "But also disappointing." "What do you mean?" asked Day. "Look at the approach they're suggesting." She pointed to the screen. "It's basically what Dr. Kim theorized 3 years ago, using exotic matter to create stable wormholes. The same method we already knew was possible but too difficult with our current technology." Dr. Kim nodded slowly. "They're giving us a path they know we can't complete in 5 years. The Nelvarans expect us to fail." He walked to the window and looked up at the night sky. Then he turned back to his team with determination in his eyes. But we won't follow their path. For years I've been working on another approach, one that Earth's science community thought was too dangerous to pursue. He went to his private safe and took out an old notebook. Inside were handwritten equations and diagrams. This is different from anything in the alien data. Instead of gently folding space-time, we punch through it directly. Day looked concerned. Your Thunderbolt theory? But the energy requirements are enormous. And the simulations showed dangerous side effects. Yes, but we now have the resources to solve those problems, Dr. Kim said. And we have no choice. The Council's method would take decades to perfect. We have 5 years. Sue studied the notebook. The aliens think we'll either fail or follow their safe established method. They don't expect us to try something completely different. Dr. Kim smiled slightly. Exactly. Throughout history, humans have always found unexpected solutions when backed into a corner. We don't give up. We don't always follow the rules. We try the impossible. He gathered his team around a whiteboard and began writing new equations. The Council thinks we're too primitive to join them, he said. But they're about to learn something about humans. We're full of surprises. Outside, night fell over Korea. In labs across the world, scientists began working on the alien FTL method. But in Dr. Kim's lab, a different path was taking shape, one that would eventually shock the entire galaxy. Dr. Kim looked at his team with fierce determination. Let's show them what humans can do.